One launches $70 million fighter jets into war zones. The other launches massive parties at sea, complete with water parks and Broadway-style shows. At a glance, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier and a modern mega cruise ship seem like they're from different planets, built for completely opposite reasons. One is a floating fortress, a symbol of military might projecting power across the globe. The other is a floating resort, a city of fun dedicated to escape and entertainment. But when you actually stack them up, these two ocean giants are surprisingly close in scale. They're both jaw-dropping marvels of modern engineering, pushing the absolute limits of what we can build to sail the seas. But the title of bigger isn't as simple as you might think. By the end of this, you'll know the surprising truth about which one is truly the bigger behemoth of the ocean. And the answer isn't just a straight yes or no. Before we get to final measurements, we have to understand why these vessels exist. Their entire design, from the shape of the hull to the number of people on board, is dictated by their purpose. An aircraft carrier is, at its heart, a mobile military base. It's a slice of sovereign territory that can park itself anywhere in international waters, ready to launch recovery aircraft for everything from combat missions to humanitarian aid. Take the biggest and baddest carrier in the world, the USS Gerald R. Ford. It's not built for comfort. It's built for lethal efficiency. Every single inch is optimized for its mission. This ship is home to a crew of over 4,500 people, sailors, pilots, and all the staff needed to maintain a fleet of up to 90 advanced aircraft. Think about that. It's a floating city where every single person has a mission-critical job, running 24/7 in some of the most demanding conditions you can imagine. Life on board is a world of disciplined routine, tight quarters, and the constant roar of jet engines, a far cry from a vacation. Now, let's switch gears to the cruise ship. If a carrier is a floating fortress, a megaship like Royal Caribbean's Star of the Seas is a floating metropolis of fun. Its only purpose is pure leisure. Instead of a flight deck, it has a water park, the largest at sea, in fact. Instead of hangars for fighter jets, it has theaters, ice skating rinks, casinos, and over 40 restaurants and bars. The whole ship is engineered to maximize passenger enjoyment. The Star of the Seas and its sister ship, Icon of the Seas, can carry a staggering 7,600 passengers at maximum capacity, plus a crew of 2,350. That's nearly 10,000 people on board, more than double the population of USS Gerald R. Ford. This is a city at sea built not for war, but for relaxation and entertainment. So you've got two ships of similar scale, but with polar opposite reasons to exist. One is a high-stakes tool of global power. The other is a multi-billion-dollar business of fun. Here's where things get even more interesting. How long it actually takes to build these monsters. A modern aircraft carrier, like the USS Gerald R. Ford, isn't just constructed. It's assembled over decades of planning and nearly a decade of physical building. From initial authorization to delivery, you're looking at roughly 10 to 12 years, involving tens of thousands of skilled workers, classified systems, nuclear reactors, and technology that literally doesn't exist anywhere else on Earth. Every weld, every wire, every bolt is scrutinized because failure isn't an option. This thing is designed to operate for 50 years with midlife nuclear refueling and overhauls. Now, compare that to mega cruise ships. Ships like Star of the Seas are engineering miracles in their own right, but they're built on an entirely different clock. From steel cutting to delivery, these ships typically take about 3 to 4 years to construct. That's still incredibly fast when you consider the size, the complexity, and the sheer number of moving parts, but it reflects a commercial mindset. Cruise ships are built to evolve quickly, respond to market demands, and push guest experience forward every few years. So, while both are giants, one is built for a long-term national asset. The other is built like the world's most ambitious hospitality project. And if you're fascinated by how these floating cities are designed, built, and operated, whether for war or leisure, you're going to love what I do here. Go ahead and hit subscribe because I break down the world's biggest ship, smartest travel strategies, and the engineering behind experiences we all dream about. You don't want to miss what's coming next. When it comes to a race, this is where the differences between these two giants get crystal clear. It's a classic showdown of raw, unrestrained power versus calculated efficiency. An aircraft carrier like the USS Gerald R. Ford is built for one thing: speed. Its top speed is officially just in excess of 30 knots, which is about 35 miles per hour. But its true top speed is a well-kept secret. Speed is a weapon. It allows the carrier to get to strategic hotspots fast or outrun threats. But even more importantly, speed is essential for launching planes. To get fully loaded fighter jets off of a short runway, the carrier turns into the wind and floors it, creating a blistering headwind over the flight deck. This wind over deck gives the aircraft the extra lift it needs to get airborne. And this is all possible thanks to its two nuclear reactors, which can power the 100,000-ton ship for over 25 years without refueling, giving it almost unlimited range. A cruise ship, on the other hand, is playing a totally different game. The Star of the Seas has a cruising speed of around 22 knots or 25 miles per hour. That's still impressive for something so huge, but it's far slower than a carrier. For a cruise ship, speed isn't the goal. Passenger comfort and fuel efficiency are. Its hull is much wider to maximize space for cabins and amenities, which creates more drag. But it's built for a smooth, stable ride, not for racing to a combat zone. Its power comes from enormous diesel-electric engines that run on liquefied natural gas. While powerful, they're designed to be as efficient as possible because, unlike a carrier, a cruise ship's profits are directly tied to its fuel bill. So, in a head-to-head race, the aircraft carrier would leave the cruise ship in its wake. No contest. When it comes to what powers these giants, their fuel sources are as different as their missions, each with its own unique set of pros and cons. Let's start with the aircraft carrier. Aircraft carrier runs on a truly game-changing power source: two nuclear reactors. The primary advantage here is almost unimaginable endurance. These reactors can power the 100,000-ton ship for over 25 years without refueling, giving it a virtually unlimited range. This allows it to stay on station, projecting power for extended periods without needing a lengthy trip back to port for fuel. The immense energy output is a clear pro, powering everything from propulsion to energy-hungry catapults. The main con is the sheer complexity and secrecy surrounding the technology. It's a military-grade power plant that requires a highly specialized crew and operates under strict military protocols. Now, let's look at the cruise ship. For example, Star of the Seas represents the cutting edge of commercial marine engineering, running on massive engines that use liquefied natural gas. A major pro of LNG is that it burns significantly cleaner than the heavy fuel oil that has powered the shipping industry for decades. However, its cons are rooted in logistics and chemistry. Unlike a carrier, a cruise ship's profits are directly tied to its fuel bill, making fuel efficiency a constant economic concern. Furthermore, LNG systems have known technical drawbacks called methane slip. This occurs when a small amount of unburned methane, the main component of LNG, it escapes through the engine. This represents an inefficiency in the fuel system, a trade-off for using this cleaner burning fossil fuel. So while the carrier has a self-contained power source built for limitless global reach, the cruise ship relies on the latest commercial fuel, constantly balancing performance and the bottom line. Before we settle the score and crown the true king of size, if you're finding this showdown fascinating, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. I love to explore the world's most incredible machines every week, and you won't want to miss what cruise content I have coming up. We've looked at their purpose, their power, and their fuel sources. Now, it's time for the main event. Aircraft carrier versus cruise ship. Which one is actually bigger? The answer really depends on how you measure big. Let's start with length. The USS Gerald R. Ford is a mighty 1,106 feet long, but Star of the Seas and Icon of the Seas have it beat, stretching a colossal 1,198 feet from bow to stern. That's nearly 4 football fields. So for pure length, the point goes to cruise ship. Next up, how much do they weigh? This is where it gets tricky, and the cruise ship pulls ahead. Naval ships are measured in displacement, which is the actual weight of the ship. The USS Gerald R. Ford displaces about 100,000 tons. Cruise ships use a different measurement called gross tonnage, which is a measure of internal volume, not weight. Star of the Seas has a gross tonnage of 250,800. So while we aren't comparing weight directly, that number shows just how much more enormous the internal volume of the cruise ship is. Point once again to the cruise ship, but the aircraft carrier is about to fight back. Let's talk about width, or beam. The carrier's defining features is its massive flight deck. While the ship is slimmer at the waterline for speed, its flight deck is a staggering 257 feet wide. The Icon and Star of the Seas are wide, but their maximum width is around 215 feet. That extra width on the carrier is non-negotiable. It's what allows it to launch and land jets at the same time. For maximum width, the point goes to aircraft carrier. And for our final measurement, height. From its keel to the top of the mast, the USS Gerald R. Ford stands about 250 feet tall, like a 25-story building. The latest cruise ships are right up there, but the carrier just edges them out in overall height. Thanks to its tall island superstructure packed with radar and control systems, point aircraft carrier. So, what's the verdict? The surprising truth is that a modern mega cruise ship is both longer and has a vastly larger internal volume than the world's biggest aircraft carrier. Star of the Seas takes the prize for sheer length and immense volume. But the aircraft carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, is wider and taller, a design completely driven by its deadly purpose. One is built long and voluminous for launching parties, and the other is built wide and tall for launching jets. Ultimately, these ships are the pinnacle of two very different kinds of engineering. One is a titan of war, and the other a titan of leisure. Both are, without a doubt, two of the most incredible machines to sail the ocean. What do you think is more impressive? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, safe travels.